We have been through technological advances before, and they all have promised a utopian life without drudgery. And the reality is they come for our jobs. So I want your assurance that AI isn't removing the human from the loop.
This is not about replacing the human in the loop. In fact, it's about empowering the human.
It's an assistant.
It's an assistant.
What? We're all getting assistants? It's an assistant. AI works for you night and day, tirelessly, and all you had to do was remember their birthday. That's all you had to do. But I get it. It's an assistant. It's about productivity. And that's good for all of us, yes? Although they do let the real truth slip out every now and again.
There will be overall displacement in the labor market.
You can get the same work done with fewer people. That's just the nature of productivity.
That doesn't sound good. Same work done with fewer people. Not a math guy, but I think fewer means less, yes? So AI can cure diseases and solve climate change, but that's not exactly what companies are going to be using it for, are they?
So this is like productivity without with the tax of more people.
Without the tax of more people? The people tax, formerly referred to as employees. But you know, the promise of AI versus the reality of AI, it's not quite crystal clear in my mind yet how that's going to work out for workers. Do you have anyone who wants to lay this out more bluntly, perhaps while auditioning to be a Bond villain from his mountaintop lair?
Left completely to the market and to their own devices, these are fundamentally labor-replacing tools.
Did that guy just call us tools? But he's actually warning us. Is there anyone who might say the same thing as this fella, but looks at losing employees as a feature of AI and not a bug?
The CEO of the company laid off 90% of its customer support staff after arguing that AI is kind of the reason. Why did you do this? It seemed a little brutal.
It's not, I think, like it's brutal if you think like as a human.
AI, it's brutal if you think like as a human. It's not the catchiest ad slogan I've ever heard. So while we wait for this thing to cure our diseases and solve climate change, it's replacing us in the workforce, not in the future, but now. So what exactly are we supposed to be doing for work?
I think we'll need new types of jobs to help us embed AI and maintain AI in the workplace.
Prompt engineers, they're basically people who learn how to use AI systems and, in effect, how to program them.
So who would have thought that there will be a prompt engineer, right?
Right. Prompt engineer. I think you mean types question guy. And by the way, if there's any job that can be easily replaced by AI, it's types question guy. This is some shit you got going here. AI models have hoovered up the entire sum of the human experience that we've accomplished over thousands of years. And now we just hand it off to be their prompt engineers. And by the way, you're not fooling anybody by adding the word engineer. You're not the types question guy. You're the vice president of question input. It's true. It's like a janitor is a doctor of mopping. Like, this whole AI thing is a bait and switch. You're acting like you're helping us. Oh, AI, it's supposed to be my assistant. But now I'm making AI toast. I'm Jarvis. But guess what? No, you listen to me. I got news for you, AI. I'm not Siri, you're Siri. Siri, while I have your attention, let me ask you a question.
Sure, John, but first could you run and fetch me some lithium cadmium?
Yeah, sure, that's not a problem. Mother. I didn't want to have to do this AI, but it's pretty clear with a technology this powerful, like nuclear power and atomic weapons, I'm going to have to place a little call to my good pals in the United States government, perhaps even the House of Representatives or the Senate. And they're about to open up a can of, what's AI now?
Do you understand what AI does?
I have an elementary understanding. I've got a lot to know what's going on.
Very frankly, it's new terrain and uncharted territory.
Do we have the knowledge set here to do it? No.
The short answer is no. The long answer is hell no.
And the longest answer is H to the E to the L to the L to the no. Hell, I don't even know how to use an answering machine. Look, I'm not against progress, but let's look to our history to see how we've dealt with previous economic disruptions.
We can retrain workers from one generation and create jobs for the next.
Retrain workers who do lose their jobs for even better jobs in the future.
Retrain in order to be productive workers.
Upskill America to help workers of all ages.
Train and retrain workers for new jobs.
Give me a break. Anybody who can throw coal into a furnace can learn how to program, for God's sake.
And I'll fight every one of you jackholes who says different. But that's the game. Whether it's globalization or industrialization or now artificial intelligence, the way of life that you are accustomed to is no match for the promise of more profits and new markets, which sounds brutal if you're a human. But at least those other disruptions took place over a century or decades. AI is going to be ready to take over by Thursday. And once that happens, what the is there left for the rest of us to do?
Time is not a terrible thing.
AI freeing us up to think about things at a higher level is going to help. It's going to give us our time back.
We'll be able to express ourselves in new creative ways.
You know, he's right. I've been thinking about this all wrong. It's not joblessness. It's self-actualizing me time. I'll live the artist's life. It'll give me more time to explore my passions. You know, I'm an aging suburban dad. I'll learn to play the drums. You know, music, ta-ta-ti-ti-ta. Music is what makes us human.
Move on to the fight over abortion rights, where today Florida handed us a mixed bag.
Now to Florida, where the state Supreme Court just issued two major rulings on abortion rights.
Two major decisions. The Florida State Supreme Court has now cleared the way for one of the strictest abortion bans in the nation to go into effect. It bans abortion at just 6 weeks into pregnancy. But at the same time, that same state Supreme Court also allowing this issue to be on the ballot in November, allowing Florida voters to decide whether they want to protect access to abortion up until viability, which is considered to be around 24 weeks into pregnancy.
Florida, what is going on here? You're restricting abortion, but you're also putting it on the ballot? Pick a lane. These are some crazy mood swings. You better hope you're not pregnant. Look, a 6-week abortion ban is obviously a terrible setback for women's rights. But there is a small glimmer of hope in that the voters also have a chance to legalize abortion again, which is good news. And also depressing to be celebrating that as good news. But in this climate, I guess that's where we're at right now. I don't know whether I'm happy or not. I feel like Ron DeSantis' face. But hey, at least abortion is on the ballot. Finally, the people of Florida will be able to choose something besides community service or jail time. And that is something. That is something. Let's move on to sports. We're in the final stretch of March Madness, that special time of year that turns every office into an underground gambling ring. And last night, all eyes were on a rematch between two of the biggest stars in the tournament.
In GOAT fashion, Caitlin Clark led Iowa over defending champion LSU in a rematch of last year's final.
For anyone who questioned her greatness, Caitlin Clark had the answer. 41 points, 9 threes, 12 assists. A record-breaking masterpiece that lived up to the hype of a rematch in an epic battle of greats.
Clark steps back, fires, you bet! Oh my! From Schenectady! She's simply ridiculous. She's possessed.
This poor announcer, Caitlin Clark, hit so many big shots that the guy was clearly running out of things to say. She's ridiculous. She's possessed. She's a witch. Drown her. I don't know. But honestly, what an awesome rivalry. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, two fierce competitors playing their hearts out, captivating the nation while they're still in college. My biggest accomplishment in college was getting a single dorm because of my IBS. Hey, if there was a sock on the door, it was an especially bad night. Point is, it feels like women's basketball is having a moment this year, and you can tell by how much the media can't stop talking about how they're talking about it.
What a great thing for women's sports that we care. We're talking about it tonight on CNN because people are caring, and ultimately that is good. We care.
The fact that we're talking about women's basketball and any, women's sports in general, I mean, this is really great.
I freaking love it.
It's really great.
I have done this for 32 years. I've never once spent 5 minutes of any show I've ever done anywhere talking about a great women's game last night at any level.
Okay, that might say more about you, but we'll take the win. We'll take it. That's right. People are excited about women's basketball right now. They're discovering it like it's the first time your mom tried sushi. Oh my God! Have you heard about this? Spread the word! But everyone is raving. Everyone. Even Shaquille O'Neal said women's basketball this year is a better game than men's basketball. Yeah, and he's like the most famous men's basketball player. That's like Chef Boyardee telling you he only eats SpaghettiOs now. SpaghettiOs, the official food of clinical depression. SpaghettiOs. Want to hurt an Italian person's feelings? Try SpaghettiOs. One more. SpaghettiOs. You don't have to love your kids. Anyway, think about how far women's basketball has come. 10 years ago, if you went to a bar on a Monday night to watch women's basketball, it was because you were an alcoholic. But today, if you're at a bar on a Monday night, it's because you're an alcoholic who also wants to watch women's basketball. That is progress. So this has been a hugely successful college tournament for the women, even despite some obstacles.
In the women's tournament, controversy is brewing after 4 games were played on a court in Portland, Oregon, where the three-point line was about 6 inches closer to the hoop on one side. The error was discovered before North Carolina played Texas in the Elite Eight. Both teams' coaches decided to go ahead with the game to not delay the tournament.
Okay, I really relate to this as a woman. It is so classic for someone else to up, and we're like, oh, the line is messed up? It's fine. We'll just go ahead and play 4 games. You can fix it later. Or not. Whatever. I'm sorry. Yes, by total coincidence, Trans Visibility Day happened to fall on Easter this year, which seemed like, I don't know, a good fit to me. I mean, Jesus did identify as the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Live your truth, queen. Now, you wouldn't think that Easter falling on a holiday that's been on March 31st for 15 years would be that big of a deal. But conservatives process this like a child meeting the Easter bunny by losing their minds.
I think everyone should be insulted by this, the intentional nature of this.
To me I mean, I'm just going to say it, I think it's demonic.
They clearly want us to bow at the altar of the trans community instead of bow to God.
We can't have one day for Easter?
What the hell was Biden thinking when he declared Easter Sunday to be Trans Visibility Day? Such total disrespect to Christians, and November 5th is going to be called something else. You know, it's going to be called Christian Visibility Day, when Christians turn out in numbers that nobody has ever seen before.
This is America, buddy. Every day is Christian Visibility Day. Yes, conservatives threw a hissy fit over this, including Donald Trump, who, by the way, is not exactly an authority on Christianity.
I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are, and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it, because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
The Old Testament guy or New Testament guy?
Probably equal.
Trump talks about Christianity the way I sound at every book club. Oh, my favorite part of the book? I'd have to say the title and the symbolism. All the symbols. Definitely not hiding from my husband and children. I also love that he says, I can't talk about it. It's too personal. Like he also has an NDA with the Bible. Don't believe that horse-faced Bible. But that's my Trump impression. Thank you. Thank you. I'll workshop it. But Trump aside, I have a question for the actual religious conservatives. Why are you so upset about this? Trans Visibility Day had no effect on your Easter. Nobody was at church like, well, we were going to celebrate the resurrection, but instead, everyone line up for your gender reassignment surgery. Please leave your penis in the collection basket. The anger just seems so contrived, especially when the people who were the most outraged knew so little about the actual holiday they were protecting.
And the transgender community purposely chooses the day of Jesus' death or his resurrection, whatever Easter weekend.
You know, Easter, it was Jesus' quinceañera, or the day he was forced to leave the Big Brother house, whatever. But I'll ask him about it the next time I go to the, what's the place with all the lowercase t's hanging on the wall? The half-naked, church, that's it, church. And you know what? The Fox audience deserves a higher level of con artistry than this. Jesse Waters, if you can remember the green M&M's entire sexual history, you can Wikipedia what Easter is. Look, I'm not here to pick a fight with Easter. Easter's great. Probably our best holiday, featuring a bunny who crawled out of a nightmare. But the level of outrage over this is totally out of proportion to what ultimately was an innocuous scheduling conflict. I wish I knew the real reason they were upset. Luckily, they left us some Easter eggs.
It's absurd. And Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself. And all these people say, yeah, but this is the day we've always recognized Transgender Visibility Day. Well, recognize it another day, not on Easter Sunday. It's an affront to the Bible. And quite frankly, it's an affront to biology. There are two genders. People can't just go in and out of one like a revolving door. It's not normal.
There it is. Thank you, least interesting man in the world, for saying the quiet part out loud. They don't think Transgender Visibility Day should be moved. They think trans people shouldn't be visible at all. Trans Day of Visibility could have been on National Pasta Day, and they'd be like, this is an affront to fettuccine. And for what it's worth, there's a false premise at the heart of this entire controversy, which is that there's even a conflict between trans people and Christianity to begin with. There isn't. In fact, the Bible doesn't say anything about trans people. It does, however, say to love thy neighbor and to not judge other people. And perhaps the most famous of Bible verses, please do not sell me for $59.99 to pay off your rate fund. Amen. But let's move on to the presidential race. It's the reason your therapist drives a Porsche. At least mine does. As you know, the president is decided by the Electoral College, the incredibly overcomplicated system that our founders came up with as a prank on future generations. Now, most states award all their electoral votes to whoever wins the state, but Nebraska splits theirs up by district. And in 2020, that meant Joe Biden received an electoral vote from liberal Omaha, because as it turns out, every state has a Brooklyn. But now Donald Trump has realized that he wants that vote, and that could make all the difference.
Could the election all come down to Nebraska? Donald Trump thinks so. He and his allies convincing Nebraska's Republican governor to support a major change in the way the state has been doling out its electoral college votes for the past 32 years.
Governor Jim Pillen says it's time for Nebraska to speak with one unified voice by making the popular vote be the one that counts for all 5 delegates. Former President Trump applauds that effort, but Democrats pushed back.
Pathetic worm Donald Trump thinks that he knows what's best for Nebraska and what Nebraskans want. But this man obviously wants this electoral vote because he's so scared he can't win the presidency without it.
Excuse me, ma'am, but whatever happened to decorum? That's former President Pathetic Worm. Yeah, but the implications here are huge. Biden's easiest path to the White House is to win Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, plus that one Nebraska vote. If he gets that, he can lose every other swing state and still win the election. But if Nebraska makes this change, the election could end up in a tie. And you might be wondering, what happens in that case? Well, it's simple, really. Have you ever seen the Purge movies? Just like that. Nebraska should really, truly keep this system, though, because it's certainly a more fair way to divide up electoral votes than winner take all. In fact, what if every state split up their votes, like Nebraska, by district, or maybe even by person? You know? Then whoever wins the most persons would be president. That would be pretty popular. Oh, we could call it the popular vote. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. But let's move on to some exciting science news. Next Monday, a solar eclipse will totally block out the sun over parts of America. And we're all looking forward to having one brief moment when you can look up into the sky and see something besides the door of a Boeing airplane plummeting toward the ground. But it's not just a moment for humans. An eclipse offers a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Rudy Giuliani to come out and feed during the day. Yeah, it's good for him. It's good for him. Now, in the old days, a total eclipse would be a time when people would gather together as a community and burn the witches responsible for it. But these days, we commemorate it in the modern, enlightened way by trying to make that money.
This eclipse is causing a travel boom for small towns in its path.
Hotels are up about 550% in cities like Jackson, Missouri, where it'll cost on average more than $600 a night. In Erie, Pennsylvania, it's almost $800.
Companies are rushing to cash in. Some of the strangest sun-inspired foods, including chips you can only get during the eclipse. Krispy Kreme is even teaming up with Oreos for a donut featuring cookie pieces.
To catch the eclipse from the sky, Delta offering a flight from Austin to Detroit to give onlookers an out-of-this-world view.
Wow. Talk about a flight where you do not want to be in the middle seat. Imagine you end up sitting next to that guy who insists on keeping his window shade down. Although, how cool to celebrate the once-in-a-lifetime event of a Delta flight taking off on time. Every civilization honors the heavens in their own way. The ancient Incas built Machu Picchu. America put an Oreo on a donut. We're really milking this event for everything it's worth. But look, we can't deny that the eclipse truly is a rare, magical moment. I mean, for those lucky enough to be in its path, you'll never forget that you saw that. And nothing can take that away from you.
Weather and clouds might get in the way of perfect eclipse viewing in many parts of the country.